Just used AI to build a finance tracking application in just a couple hours, something I did without writing a single line of code. Now, previously, this would have taken $10, $20, $30,000 paying a software engineer and a designer and other people to actually build this product. And I would know, I owned an app development agency. But let me show you in this video how I built this in just about 30 messages, 30 prompts using AI, and you can do the same. The tool that I'm using to do this is something called V0 by Vercel. And think of this kind of like ChatGPT, where you can text in and talk to these large language models and process information, but it's also a code generator, meaning that you say, hey, I want to design an application that does XYZ, and it's actually going to spit out front-end components. You can kind of see that here, like charts, forms, other pieces that you would normally need to build software. And it does this all for you. It actually writes, in this case, JavaScript, structures the library and components of a project, things that most non-engineer, non-technical people have no idea how this works, and you don't need to. It's actually going to do this for you. So that's the starting point. You can sign up for free, and you can pay for more power and processing. All right, so let's jump over to what I built. I created a new chat, and I wanted to build this portfolio finance tracker. The backstory here is I've used Yahoo Finance or other tools, but sometimes they actually do more than I need. And so I was finding myself using Google Sheets to track a lot of my own personal finance and performance. So what did I do? Well, up here at the very top, I actually start with this initial prompt. So let's scroll way up and I will show you that message. The first thing I say is, hey, I want to build a finance tracking app that uses real-time stock data from something like Google, and basically provides me the stock name, the ticker name, the market cap, the current price, the PE ratio, some of those things. And so as I worked through this, it spit out this view. And over time, I started to refine it with additional prompts. Let me just show you how it works. So let's say we take a stock like Coinbase, a company I really like, own a lot of their shares. I can click in and add Coinbase to this table. So it's actually pulling in the price. It's using the Yahoo Finance API. It's going to calculate how far is this stock off its all-time high, and some other values that I really wanted here. So that was kind of the first piece. There are a few messages where I tried to tweak it and say, hey, can you arrange these columns this way? Can you maybe add some spacing here or there? And you can do any of that through the prompts. Okay, next up, I said, I want to actually track the number of shares I own. And so in this case, I said, okay, let me give the ability to add purchase history. So I'm going to go ahead and key in a date. I can key in the price that I bought those shares and the number of shares, and I'll add that to my transaction list. And when I get out of here, you can see that I have 100 shares, average price is 200, current price is 269, so I'm actually at $26,939 of market value, which is a 35% roughly ROI on my investment. But you can do this across your whole portfolio and many transactions per stock or holding that you have. And then the final step was, okay, so what does that mean? How am I actually performing? And that's where we jump over to the performance tab. And so I used some prompts to say, hey, show me my portfolio value, show me my total return. I also wanted this chart here where I could see the S&P 500's performance compared to mine. And this is where some of the kinks I had to work through, still working through them to display this. But this is incredibly powerful. I mean, as someone who owned a software development agency, to gather these requirements, work with design, sit with an engineer, do all this work, it's a lot of effort. And it's essentially been commoditized to a chat. I cannot believe it. I'm actually kind of glad I'm out of that business. And so this is an example of what I built. It took me about, I'd say, 30 unique prompts. Many of those were bug fixing, kind of debugging messages. I probably could have narrowed that down had I been more concise in some of the messages that I sent. But it did everything from UI updates to bug fixing, even things like this, adding dark mode. So just really powerful. Let's actually go over then to what these prompts look like. You may be wondering, what is that process? Over here, I have kind of defined the workflow and the steps of what it took. First, I started with this initial prompt, which is the one that I had read you. Then I started to do some UI tweaks. So I had said, hey, let's get some spacing, let's make this bold, etc. Then we got some looping bugs and some errors. So for you, if you're not technical, if something seems broken, you kind of realize that, and in the chat you can say, hey, this button isn't working like I'd expect. I'd expect this button to clear out my search history when I hit the X, for example. So did some of that, and then I started to do enhancements like the dark mode. Then I got into other features. Okay, now that I got my portfolio, I want to see my shares, and that's what this PRD, product requirements doc, essentially means. So PRD is more features. Enhancements are tweaks to those features. Bug fixes are when things didn't work, and UI, that's user interface, that's when I wanted to make more cosmetic or styling adjustments. What that looked like over the course of the project here is this breakdown. So the majority was bug fixing. That actually took some time to get through. And if you're not familiar with the bug fixing process, this could be a point of frustration because you're going to have to learn how to describe the problem and see if you can work through the large language model and processing to fix it on its own. Now, for more complex problems, that's where a software engineer really would dive in and try to debug on their own. But I got through it no problem. In fact, when it came to the performance tracking, this just kept failing. It wasn't plotting the data properly. So I actually used another tool called Claude, another model, and I said, hey, design me an algorithm for this ROI charting. And I took that generated code, gave it to this platform, and it used it to actually fix this charting, which is just incredible. And so it was almost like going to a senior engineer, hey, can you help me with this thing? Yeah, sure, man, here's how you should do it. And then they implement it into the project. What else? You can see that there's some enhancements and the features. Here's the actual prompts. So these are some of the main ones. This is the initial that I had read off. And here's one, and you can see how casual it is for the lots or transaction history. So, hey, it'd be cool if I could add lots of a stock purchase. So I can track historical performance. On the My Shares tab, here's where it should exist. Here's the values. I want date, cost per share, number of shares, save, X to cancel. I removed some columns. I give you the ability to edit or delete, just kind of modification. And this is the final product. So I'm really excited about this. If I actually click over to the code, you can see this is not just a prototyping UI tool. This is a functioning software application. And the implications for this are really, really powerful. I think if you're an engineer, leveraging this to be more efficient and better at getting initial concepts and ideas and components. As a product person like myself, using this to prototype your ideas without having to go and get design and engineering distracted perhaps from some of the things you're doing today. And then you can bring them to the conversation with an idea that's more than just text on a screen. So, and then when it comes to the marketplace for actual software engineering consulting, I think that agencies like the one I owned are going to have to offer the ability to do rapid prototyping with an engineer driving this kind of tool. So that's a lot, and that's where we're headed. All right, I hope you found this video helpful. And the reason I put this out is because, my day job is working in technology, specifically in product management, which is crafting and building software, much like this project. But it's always been a barrier to entry, especially if you're not a programmer. And I think that this really helps open things up to where maybe you can take those ideas you've had and start to build something that could add a lot of value. And maybe you can monetize it. Maybe you can build a company. And that's what's so exciting right now. So I hope that as you see how this ties into personal finance and an interest of mine, you can find something for yourself that's interesting and get to work. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.